on my way up here. I mean, on my way up the stairs.
Okay.
I witnessed
2 flights, by the way. 2 flights.
2 flights. I witnessed a log of bird shit.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
What the fuck?
What bird was that?
I don't know.
Pterodactyl?
It definitely seems
Huge.
like. I want to know what noise it made.
What do I do with that?
I mean, you don't clean it. That's
No.
a communal. I mean, you pay enough for this place. Like,
Yeah.
you should be cleaning it. The maintenance company.
That's very true. I'm not going to go and clean the bird shit as well on the stairs.
The maintenance company can look after that.
That's in the fees.
I wonder, will there be a conversation about it?
Like with who?
Well, even just like
With birds?
no, not with the birds, but you know the like the
Dad,
lads.
did you drop that deuce, did you?
The lads that, like, for instance, let's look out the window here. Look at that bird. Is it a pigeon? Is that what left that?
No, defo not.
Jeez.
It must be bigger.
I know I do hear often. I hear the birds outside, and they're like them. You know, the ones that cackle. Like,
Yeah.
and, like, they're having great crack. The sea birds. Seagulls, are they?
Seagulls, yeah, there. It was a seagull shit, that's who it was.
Fuckers. They robbed the chips and the fish and chips out of my ma's hands in Houghton not too long ago.
And then they flew over here.
I took a big log shit.
I took a massive log shit in Castleknock. Thank you.
Hello, and you are very welcome along to the Unpopular Opinion podcast. My name is Jen.
I'm Mana Bagala.
And we are the Jen and the Carla.
Yeah.
The TUO.
Yeah.
How are you? How are you, Carla, more importantly?
I'm good.
That's good.
I've been working through some things.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
We're having our first event in 12 years on Friday.
In 35 years.
It's been 84 years.
It's been a very long time. Yeah, we're going to pop along to an event. We're going to see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a big stout drinker, but sure, we'll give it a go.
Yeah, sure.
I do like a Guinness, though. It's not a Guinness event, but as in...
Yeah, I get you.
Guinness is a stout, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just checking.
I mean, it's
Just
always
checking
good
before
to
I'm
check.
cancelled over my stout drinking.
Yeah, it's always good to check, you know?
No, it is, yeah.
Bit of research.
Especially with you, Jen.
Yeah.
Connoisseur.
Yeah, I mean, like, biggest drinker ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big name in the alcohol industry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can't get any bigger. What was I going to say to you? We have podcasts that we have to do.
We have a podcast today. Yeah, we do. We do indeed.
We're recording a podcast.
We're recording a podcast, but we're also recording another podcast later on our Patreon.
2 of them.
2. Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, we're doing 2 in a row, gang. And that is for our Patreon listeners. So if you are somebody who comes here often and enjoys what they hear, maybe think about registering for our Patreon. It is €6 a month. You get 5 additional episodes. You get one every Monday. This is released on a Sunday. You get an additional one on a Monday, so you can space it out whatever way you'd like to, including one episode that is done with a guest, which is a megasode.
I like it.
Do you like that? That was just off the top of my head. That was spitballing.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
Watch out, Megan Thee Stallion. It's me.
Kala. I see you changed your Twitter handle from Always Starving to Kala. Is it?
Oh, no.
Have you not?
No.
Somebody added us today, and Kala and Jen_Hatton was in regards to this podcast.
What the fuck?
Oh shit, it didn't come up on you because if you're not Kala, then...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. Somebody tagged...
Oh, that's my personal.
Ah.
That's me personal, guys.
Oh, fuck. I will bleep that.
Can you bleep things?
I'm raging. I had a bleep. I'm going to follow your personal.
Oh, I'm raging.
Somebody found you.
How did they find me?
I don't know. You haven't tweeted since 2018. I wouldn't be all that concerned.
No.
What's in your bio? No bio at all. Oh, I took the header photo myself.
I thought that was
And
really
it's-
important. It's jellyfish. It's in
It's
San
jelly-
Fran.
Oh,
I took that.
no.
I took that picture. Yeah, exactly.
You would have having to explain that now. Is that an aquarium? That looks like a reflection on a bit of... Yeah, I can see an
it
exit
is, yeah.
sign. You can literally see the exit sign.
Oh my God, you can. Oh,
occasion. Like you weren't underwater, you weren't in deep sea there.
Jesus, I
love your profiler.
Thanks, chicken.
You're like a mix of Britney and Shakira all in one.
Shakira. I used a bit of mousse in my hair and I was feeling myself that day.
I was going to say.
Yeah, you can tell it's mousse, yeah.
You can tell it's mousse,
yeah. Crispy mousse, yeah.
It just hits different.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. You get one day out of it, only one day out of the hairstyle.
No, yeah. Like you want to be planning a wash.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But, I'm raging now, gang. Oh, you followed me.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll follow you back.
An extra Twitter follower. Yay.
Oh, look at that. Up one. Plus one. What did this lovely listener say? They said the girlos had me howling this morning listening to the podcast about things that are embarrassing but shouldn't be. Always a joy to listen to. 100. P.S. Carla Stomper of the weeks do be class.
They do be class.
Thank you, chickaroonies.
That leads nicely into that. Both links for Patreon and Carla Stomper of the week are in the description of the podcast.
Stomper of the week.
Stomper of the week.
Oh God, I've 20
notifications on it.
Oh, I hate it here.
It's a cesspit.
Oh, it's the worst. So the Stomper of the week is linked in the bio,
Yeah.
So guys, we're giving it to you.
From all angles.
All angles. We also do social stars over on
Patreon, yeah.
Give you a new person to follow every week.
A few humdingers in there.
A few humdingers, few sad ones, few mad ones, a few glad ones.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It's not an opinion piece. Well, it is of ours.
Of ours, yeah.
Of ours, but it's not something that we asked listeners to get involved in because a couple of reasons. Mm-hmm. Looking back, we could have, but it was just difficult to word, wasn't it?
When you heard the topic of choice, you're going to be... So we spoke a little bit about it last week on your unpopular opinion because you were saying you find it weird when people like...
Fan accounts, yeah.
Yeah, the fan accounts and getting a bit too close and too into the celebrities and all that and acting like you kind of know them or like commenting on their like big, huge, like say Courtney and Travis are taking their picture outside the plane.
Scandal, by the way. We have to talk about that.
No, we're talking about with Vanilla. I've put it on the list.
Good woman, thank you. Oh, good woman.
But... Sorry, you'll have to join us on Patreon to know what we're talking about. little bit of clickbait there. So they're outside the plane and Travis Scott is after getting on this plane because he hasn't been on one since he nearly died years ago and his friend died on the plane, or whatever. Like you, like writing underneath the post going, oh, Courtney, yeah, fucking great one. If I getting Travis there now, wants to plane fair play to you.
I come here, how do the kids feel?
Yeah, exactly that kind of thing. Like, it's just that over familiar attitude towards people you really don't know, but you see a lot.
So on that, today we are going to be discussing parasocial relationships.
Yeah.
So this was actually brought up to me by a bride. I was doing a bride's makeup and she was saying, this is how I feel. We were talking about it and I can't remember the person. And I didn't want to seem dumb by not knowing who they were either. Because I think they were like either like a journalist or somebody who was like...
Sophisticated and you're not smart
Sophisticated and I'm not smart enough for that. So I don't know who it was, but essentially I was doing a bride's makeup and she said she was running around the Phoenix Park and she bumped into, let's just say for the sake of the argument, Richard Chambers.
Yeah.
And she was like, and it was so awkward because I fully started chatting to him like I knew him.
Okay.
I was asking him how the girlfriend is, how the house is, how this is, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, and then afterwards I was like, that's mad. Why did I do that? Felt awkward, felt embarrassed. And she said she did a bit of research or she heard it in a podcast or something about parasocial relationships. And that is what it is called when basically you learn and you know someone through... Well, now social media is a big one, but before it used to be movies, film, media, any kind of media where you build a relationship with somebody who you don't actually know in real life.
Yeah.
But you feel like you have interaction with them because you see a lot of them. Essentially, is what a parasocial relationship is. So the Google...
Yeah, the definition.
Parasocial interaction refers to a kind of psychological relationship experienced by an audience in their mediated encounters with performers in the mass media, particularly on television. But this has now been updated to be particularly on social media because obviously social media has brought a new layer to things because, and especially YouTube and Twitter in particular, because beforehand... you know, and it was weird because I was having this conversation with someone else the other day, and I was talking about how we were doing this podcast, how it was a really interesting topic, and I was like, you know, do you remember when you were younger and you fully thought that you were going to get with a Backstreet Boy?
Oh yeah.
Like, I was like, can't wait for me and Kevin, and I know him.
Yeah.
But then that's a celebrity crush, isn't it? So then it's kind of like a little bit different. But I feel like the parasocial comes into it.
This is what we were discussing even putting a box up for this on the Instagram, because I was like, I don't know if we'd get, okay, so we could have easily asked the question, have you ever like slid into somebody's DMs and like full on started acting like you knew them, you know, or giving them advice or whatever. And I'm sure a lot of people have done that, but I just don't think people would have admitted to that.
Not even admitted to it, but I think, again, as that bride, she was like, I had no idea why I felt this way until I actually listened and learned about it a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think what's interesting is, especially with social media, and the reason why I was saying that Twitter and YouTube have become kind of like a bigger thing is because those relationships build because there is interaction back.
That's why.
Or the chance of interaction back.
Yes.
So even though, like, say I'm a big follower of Rosa Connolly,
yeah,
and I comment on her videos, you know, 30 videos, never get a comment back, and then the one video get a comment back, and it builds on that relationship. But I think what was really interesting as well is that, like, social media, especially if you have a following, actively encourages people to speak like a public figure.
Okay.
And in that way, you almost build, because it's like, I'm Carla, like, if you see me in the shops or whatever, I'm just me.
Yeah.
I'm not a thing.
Yeah.
And then it's awkward because you have an audience.
Yeah.
And as much as I'm like, sure, I'm just living my life, I'm just doing me, I'm just putting up whatever, there's terms and conditions that come with that.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not as free as I was at 2,000 followers or 200 or 2,000 or even 20,000. You kind of become more and more aware as your following grows. And I think especially in Ireland, where we're such a tiny little island, that, and I think I've said this in a previous podcast, where it's like, you've probably heard of me by now.
Okay.
Do you know?
Yeah.
So, or to some level in a community, you will probably have heard of me to a point.
Have
Do you get
heard
me?
of something that you did, like your end of year rants.
Yeah, or something along those lines, or you might have seen me on the news or on the news when I was on the news. Guys, I was on the news. I don't know if you noticed, like a little blue tick. Or like on the radio or something along those lines. Yeah. Not that you would register that it was me.
Yeah.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
But there's only, that's why I'm like, with Ireland, it's such a funny one until you, like, we've got loads of micro influencers, but we don't have a massive amount of macro, because at one point, everybody in the island has made a judgment about you and they've decided whether they want to follow you or not. Mm-hmm. So when you're trying to grow your following, there can only be so much.
Yeah.
Like
you've
push
only got
and
a certain type
you've
of
only got
shelf life.
You've only got a shot,
a
certain amount of shots at it, you know, unless something drastic changes, like you get pregnant or
Hi.
unless Jen's following went up by 20,000 followers because she got pregnant.
Yeah.
But you know, in that kind of way, it's almost like it's cyclical. Mm-hmm. And that can sound bad when you're talking about it, because you're like, loads of people haven't heard of you. No, I know, but as in, it's small enough, the pool of people in this country and the pool of public figures in this country is small enough that, as I said, it becomes cyclical. You might have heard of me, you didn't register, it was me though, or something along those lines, or they might have, especially with you've been in shows and TV and you were on a bleeding credit union ad. Yeah. So your awareness, like, you'd love to see the graph.
Yeah, like you're saying, I'd say I'm sure there are thousands of people that have even scanned through the radio and heard you talking on FM or 2FM or whatever, but didn't even stop on the station. No. But they have heard.
They have heard, that's my,
that type of, I think that's their point, is that they probably, like, it's so small, even if it was just a split second, flicking through the news, flicking through the radio, they probably have heard or seen you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's such a small, and then, like, you do, from personal experience, like, you do notice, not so much now because I'm not really that active, but definitely when I was active online, you could just tell when you were walking through a public space who was staring at you.
Yeah, and you're
why
like,
they were staring at you, you know?
Yeah.
Now, even if they didn't approach you.
Yeah.
Now, I do find, and I'm not putting myself up there, and this is why I was saying this is kind of a hard one to navigate, and I don't really put so people with a large social media platform, I'm not even going to say influencer because I wouldn't class myself as an influencer, do you know what I mean? I have a following, but
you don't feel like you influence?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So
why do people follow you?
Just for content. Like I think there's content creators and then there's influencers. I do think they're very separate thing.
True.
Do you
Yeah,
know?
no, I do understand. But then there's influencers, like in particular, I would be more of an influencer than a content creator, but then I do create content.
I know, yeah.
So it's like, yo. But I get what you're saying. You don't. But then you do ad work.
I do ad work, yeah. And I get that because
you're
of
a
my
personality.
following.
It's more like you're a personality. Do you know?
I know, it's weird. It's very hard.
It's hard.
But I still do think that they are very separate things. Like, look at the work Tig Fleming can get. You'd never call him an influencer, though. You'd call him a content creator. Even though he has millions of followers and he could get an
influence,
ad like that,
you could influence quickly, yeah.
But you wouldn't really put him into the same category as Rosie Connolly, for instance.
Yeah, you would call her,
Do you know what I mean? Like, there is a stark difference. What was my point? I'm not going. I digressed now. I'm fucking lost. I don't really feel like people with an online platform, especially people who talk to their camera and put up question boxes and are just, and I don't mean purposely or like there's a kind of a strategy behind it, but if you're trying to come across as the girl next door, you kind of, and then like you're asking people to interact with you and people are DMing you and you're DMing them back, I just don't think that's the same thing as like somebody DMing me is not the same thing as somebody DMing Kim Kardashian. Do you know what I mean? Like, even though it's the same behaviour, they don't know us. It's just not the same thing.
Yes, but I think this is where we're not talking about who's a celebrity and who's not here.
No,
do you know what I mean?
not.
Like, I think the problem is when you have an audience, you do become, as I said earlier, that level of a public figure.
Yeah.
So maybe that is what we're generalising here. Maybe it's the public figure coin. Because, like, I'm not stupid enough to think that.
Oh, no, and I'm not saying that's... I'm like, I just... When I saw the definition and I saw social media influencers in it, I was like, eh.
No, I get it. I do get it. And I think because here's a little bit more of an in-depth kind of read on it, okay? So the definition of a parasocial relationship we went through earlier is where a viewer or an audience member becomes attached to and invested in a media character, be they real or fictional, which I think is interesting.
Oh, fuck.
Who doesn't return the emotion.
Right.
Do you get me?
Okay.
Because there is people, Jen, that are invested in you and invested in your life.
Yeah.
But you, and not as in you don't know they exist, but as in a kind of way that you don't, because they see your highlight reel. And I think we'll discuss this a bit more. I'll continue this. A sense of intimacy and closeness develops on one side, but the other party in all likelihood does not know the former exists. Over the years, as the media industry has grown, parasocial relationships have become more common, especially in pop culture, from Beatlemania to the fans of the 90s boy bands to the exceedingly involved stan culture of today. So that's more about your celebrity.
Yeah.
Right. But again, I think what's interesting about this is because we'll talk about the celebrity side and then we'll talk about the social media side. But I do think that there is the reason why we're doing this and the reason why I think it's going to be an interesting discussion is because we both have some level of it.
Yeah.
You know, and like not in a way it's like, I don't know obviously you know these people exist because it's coming up their name and you're talking to them on DM. But there can be, it is to do, when I was looking up this, there was a lot of kind of things that were flashing up being like, again, about those comments in the YouTube and the Twitter and everything else like that, and getting that back and forth. And at the same time, like, I know your name is Neve because it says Neve 1990. Yeah. Do you know? But I know nothing about you. No. But you know that, you know, I have a podcast or I live in, do you know, it's even people that listen to this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because remember that time that we were going to Claire's Pello opening, RIP, and we were We were.
Jesus.
Do you remember how long ago that was?
Yeah.
You were pregnant. And do
was.
you remember we were at the Tesco?
Oh, God.
And the girlos got out of the car.
Oh, yeah.
They were like, love the podcast. And we were like, what the fuck, hey?
Yeah, I was so new at that stage.
Yeah.
Podcast,
Yeah, it was, I think we were at it like 2 months, 3 months maybe.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. It's funny because you're like, oh, hey, you chick.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know by looking at you that you were a listener, but you
Yeah.
knew me by, you know.
It is that kind of, and like, I've always said, you know, like, you could put one story out and like, I could go through my statistics now and tell you exactly how many replies I got to one slide in a story. It might be 39 on average, like a DM to one slide on an Instagram story. And like, I don't treat people like they're nothing, or I don't treat people like they're a number, but I can't explain enough that you are in a big list.
Oh, yeah. And this is what I mean about that kind of level of when you're a social media public figure versus when you're actually like, nobody anticipates Kim Kardashian's going to reply to them.
No.
If she does, you're like, holy fuck. It's like Kourtney Kardashian left a comment on that, like not that random person's, but she left a comment on somebody who was quite a low level influencer, I think, in the UK.
No, this was what I said last week. The EastEnders character.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
not a low level person, but I suppose in the UK, I mean,
she's actually quite, I think she's kind of in the, I'm going to say like the fashionista, like she's not just an EastEnders, like she kind of has her own bits. Stands a bit different, like she's a cool gal.
Then you've Kourtney Kardashian, who has 100 million followers.
Oh yeah. And then she commented on her body, it was.
Yeah.
And Maisie just wrote back, thanks chicken.
Yeah. That's what we're, yeah.
It was brilliant, like.
But that's, again, that's kind of that level. Where you're like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I know Kourtney, I know her relationship with Scott. I have judgments on her and her kids. You know what I mean? I have judgments on how she lives her life, and I do that through watching her on Instagram or watching her on whatever amount. Now, it's always going to be, and I think there is something to be said as well. Sorry. Another thing that I should say, parasocial relationships, not the same as paranormal, even though I kept messing it up at one point. Parasocial relationships are known to psychologists as perfectly healthy. Very normal.
Oh, yeah.
Something that...
Well, I'm glad to know that, because I have a few cringy stories of my own.
Oh, great, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's a thing that your brain automatically does because you...
Yeah, well, it's... You're consumed by... Like, say, for instance... Right, here's a cringy one. For instance, right, and I don't know why I did it. I think I might have had a drink in me, actually. I watched the Paris Hilton documentary. I sent her a DM.
Oh, fuck me.
Paris fair play to you.
Did you actually say Paris fair play to you?
Yeah. I didn't even follow her up until I watched it. So I wasn't watching her online. Like, I was just like, no, fair play to you. Well done.
I think you should know that.
And I was like, when I sent it, I was like, oh, that's cringy.
I think it's time for you to know that.
That's the only one I've ever done. Well,
if I
think of any more, I'll do.
I was messaging Mr. Tato there.
Oh yeah, well he wrote back though. No,
that was Mr. Price.
Oh shit.
Also parasocial relationship.
No, Mr. Price wrote back.
No, he knows me.
Oh, he knows us.
Knows.
Sorry, we reached out to Mr. Price on this.
Yeah.
And he slid into our DMs.
Yeah.
So I mean, who's chasing who?
Who's the hen and who's the fox?
Yeah, who's the audience?
Who's the audience? Who's the para and who's the social in that one?
Exactly.
But on that kind of topic, Dr. David Giles, who is a reader in media psychology, University of Winchester. Okay. Very nice. He agrees that parasocial relationships are not inherently problematic, because I think when you start talking about it, and you might have listened to the first 24 minutes of this podcast and thought they're problematic, or I don't understand, or whatever else like that, but he also agrees that they're not problematic, inherently problematic. They can become, as we are all aware, stan culture. I think,
stan culture kind of, and then turn it into a good level of stalking.
Yeah.
There's like, these are just the very, and I'm not saying that parasocial behaviour is at the bottom of that, because it never usually
muddies the water
into exactly. It is a, like, it's harmless enough.
Yeah. And he said they are meaningful. Sometimes it's as meaningful as actual social relationships, because even people we don't know can have profound significance in our lives, an inspiration or a reassurance. And I think that's what's, you know, even to bring it as local as this podcast, when we particularly did the episode with Jen from Jen's Journeys, and the amount of people that reached out, because that did its reassurance. You know, it was its reassurance. It did its job, I suppose, in that kind of way. And that's what's nice, because sometimes when you, and it's a lot when you know, when you start to follow, you know, in particular this year, I've really tried to follow a lot more activism accounts and a lot more fat positive accounts. And it's nice being like, you get it.
Yeah.
You know? And while I would maybe seldom interact with them, it's still something that you're like, thank you for saying that. Even if you don't read this, I just like you to know that, like, I want to get it off my chest almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in the off chance that you do, I just want you to know that you're doing a good job. You know?
Yeah.
You're doing me a solid.
Doing me a solid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've sent messages like that in the past, I suppose, as well. Like,
I think we all have. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's exclusive to it. No. And I think this is interesting in this quote as well. They said, no matter how often we repeat the message that social media is not real, and it really isn't, and is only the highlights, we can't help but attach ourselves to the version of that person that we see online. And
it's
therein
very true,
comes the fucking problem.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. You do talk about it all the time, but this is where it's like, do content creators and celebrities have I'm trying to like word this correctly. Do they have a responsibility to not show the highlights too? Do you know?
I mean, everybody is like, it's their platform and they can put up
they can do what they want. Yeah.
And I do feel like people have a problem with that. Like,
yeah.
Give me an example. Who is living a fucking particularly great life at the moment? Like, nobody really is, but who shows a particularly great life? Let's say So Sumi as an example. I know she comes on and she can be real and stuff like that, and she come on and have to crack. But like, she would come on and just show like her going off to Portugal or her going off to, I feel like she's always on holidays. Anytime I see something, she's on holidays. She owns her own business. I suppose she's nothing to lose by showing the shit bits. But, like, she's not obliged to show me that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and especially if... So, not so sue me anymore as such, or Rosie, because they both have their own businesses and they don't owe it to fucking anybody to, like... I know, because like, being an influencer and having that type of lifestyle and getting ads off brands, it kind of depends. Like, you have to treat your account as a job. Like, you can't,
as a magazine, as your,
you know, like you can't, and this is something that I've come to realise over the last, like, I was always one for, you know, giving the slaggings out and, you know, taking the piss or whatever, but like, I've learned a lot about the whole, and it's not that I'm learning how fake it is, I'm learning how it works. This is how it works. Do you know what I mean? Like, Louise Cooney isn't gonna fucking get a magazine deal with, like, whatever, You Magazine, Insta, whatever they are, if she's coming on pissing and moaning all the time. Do you know what I mean? They're going to be like, oh, fuck off.
Do you know? And that's where it's kind of like, it's a tough one as well, because I understand so much more now about, like, how much the juice can be worth the squeeze or how much the juice cannot be worth the squeeze. But I also know through Fionnuala Jones did a really good writing piece. She did a piece on Medium about feeling really overwhelmed with the fact that she works and also does social media work. And she was talking about like how she feels like she's hoarding money. Why does she keep taking on all these jobs when it's like she was saying like she enjoys them, but then it's like she doesn't want to come across a certain way. And I thought that was really interesting as well, because what I mean by like, is the juice worth the squeeze, is that, you know, no matter who you are, if you have an opinion, there will be somebody who has a counter opinion to your opinion.
Yeah, of course.
But it's how we express them and how we share them is what it all comes down to. And somebody sharing an opinion isn't a troll. Again, it's all in context and it's all in tone, which is tough to express over social media as well.
Over text.
Yeah. And I think what can be funny is, like, say for instance, I'll talk about myself. This month in September, I had said yes to, I think, 4 different partnerships. So 4 different ads that suit me. I have one long-standing one. I have 2 ones of companies that I've worked with in the past. And then I have one brand new one, but a product that I've been using for a while. They all just so happened to land in September. And all I could think about was, fuck me, I'm going to seem like such a sellout.
Yeah. That's
get
the
me?
thing. Yeah, yeah.
But then at the same time, 99% of my content
Is products.
is product free. It's not free. It's free content, as in it's content that doesn't have any monetary gain for me.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you also have to, like, you're very aware of it, but the follower isn't very aware of, when was the last time you did an ad?
I know, that's what I mean. You start being like, do you know,
Yeah.
where you look at your feed and you're like,
I know.
and it was something I remember at the, like, a lot of people, like, you're searching for the ad and they're because you're like, that seems strange, and then you kind of look down and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, anytime when I, you know, in particular, again, we'll go back to like Rimmel, they have a good few people doing the same kind of videos. And one of the companies that I'm working with, Note, they're doing like, they obviously are doing a couple of campaigns at the same time. Yeah. So I can kind of see, I'm like, I bet you that's a Note. Like, I click in, look at it, and I'm like, oh yeah. It doesn't change my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that's why they're using all the one brand. Do you know? Whereas before, it's so funny to me that, like, say 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
nobody I didn't even tweak these things. I was like, they really like Siobhan Shea. They really, really must like Catrice.
I know, yeah.
Because it wasn't that thing where you had to declare, or people didn't. Or the ASAI weren't really a thing.
No.
Well, they were, but, you know, not going away.
It was such a new world. Nobody was really prepared for it. There was nothing in place.
Yeah. But then you're afraid that is going to then in turn affect your relationship with your audience, which is then in turn going to affect your, I suppose, like, for somebody like me, I've built my platform. It's a little platform. And I totally understand why some people don't like me. I 100% get that. Very opinionated, quite loud, have a podcast, which is just enough for some people. That's just enough. Yeah. So I totally get that. But then I do feel like the people that I have, and I think we've spoke about this before, where it's like, I know myself, I don't want to grow my Instagram because I know how nasty you can get. Yeah. And you don't want to attract the wrong kind of, there really is a thing as bad publicity. There really is.
Yes, there is.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think it's funny as well, because say for someone like Nevo, so Niamh O'Connor, who is she was put up in the Irish Daily Mail earlier as Irish OnlyFans star.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And she was saying that she gets around 2 articles written about her a week, and she's like, this is so fucking funny because I started doing a few dances in my mobile home. Yeah. You know,
on TikTok.
On TikTok.
She was a tween TikToker.
Yeah, TikToker. And then she went and got her, I was going to call them dentures, not dentures. What are they called? Veneers.
Yeah.
Wrong thing. And then obviously she progressed into changing her audience into sex work, which is her OnlyFans. And she puts up a lot of AMA boxes. She puts up a lot of Ask Me Anything boxes. It's kind of like her thing that she does. And the level of abuse that she gets in them. And it's funny because it's like sometimes she just doesn't give a fuck. And then other times she's like proper lashing out. She's like, you know, showing names and doing this, that and the others. Like she did one of the other days. She put like this guy who was quite obviously trolling. Like not 100% sure what the situation was as far as like, was he trolling out of like trying to get a reaction? Was he like Stephen Bear trolling? Or was he was his mental state all there? Okay. Do you get me? It was kind of one of those where I was like, I can't figure out what this is. And she was putting him on blast because he said some really fucked up misogynistic and xenophobic, you know, some comments that very much indicated that he was a bit of a child groomer too. Okay. But again, was that it was kind of one of those things that I was like, is this outrage or is this? And it was directed at her. It was directed at her and a couple of other sex workers from Ireland. And he was Irish. And I was kind of like looking at that and I was like, she built her following on that clapback. Do you know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, and she says it all the time. She's like, I knew what I was taking on. Mm-hmm. I'm a sex worker in Ireland. Yeah. You know, like it's not it's like, I know what I'm kind of doing here. But then sometimes I can see that those kind of they'll slip through the cracks, do you know, in that kind of way. And that's why I'm like, sometimes the following or having an audience isn't, it's not the be all and the end all. No. And that's why, and I say this all of the time, I just don't really, not agree, because it's not something that people need me to agree with, but I don't like when people are like 10,000, thank you so much for 20k guys, you know, in that kind of way. You're like, just, it is what it is, just move on.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean what you think it means.
Yeah.
You know?
I know a lot of people put their weight in the amount of people that follow them, but like we've seen before, obviously, no, we don't do it as much, and like I said, that's from learning over the last couple of years, particularly since Bloggers Unveiled, I think, but learning more about the people that are on Instagram and why they do the things that they do and all that sort of thing. But like I remember, I would just get, if I was like coming on trying to be funny or like it's talking about observations that I've seen on other people's Instagram, just being a judgy little bitch, but doing it in the name of comedy, do you know, like doing it, like just having a laugh. Nothing sinister. I was never offensive, do you know what I mean? But it was kind of that real snarky, taking the piss type of attitude. And those would be the types of people that would follow me.
Exactly.
Do you know?
And that's why it's like, be careful what you build.
Yeah.
And what it's from. You know? Yeah. And that's why, you know, I used to do a lot more opinion pieces, and then I started a podcast, and now I keep, and I, like, if you're, like, a lot of people are like, oh, I wish you were the way that you were when I first started following you, and I'm like, but I have a podcast for that now.
Yeah.
And I back me 100% on this, because anything that I have said or will say, I've no problem having a debate about it. It's just a different form of media for me. And now I kind of keep my page to
yes, just
quote unquote content creation, you know, products, makeup, all that other kind of stuff. This is, so I have a couple of different things here, but this is from the same article that I was talking about earlier. But it says social media was built to encourage this. The potential to form parasocial relationships is the DNA of sites like Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. You become a follower or a subscriber of someone who then shares their thoughts and talks apparently directly to you as an individual. In quotes, hey guys.
Yeah.
You can even reply with the possibility of your reply being reciprocated, though it likely won't be. You are given access to people like never before, and the number of personalities that you can look up to and engage with is endless. Which is, because that's what I mean. You could change. As I said, this year, I've really, you know, got into activism and fat positivity, you know, all that kind of stuff. Whereas next year I could be way more into fashion. I change my feed, and beforehand, like, it's funny how much culling I'm doing. I used to follow loads of makeup artists that were really like really out there colour makeup, like really intense artistry, and a very specific kind. I've kind of unfollowed all of them because that's not my bag anymore. I don't enjoy that content anymore. So when it's coming up, I'm like, I'd never do that. Like this beforehand, I would have been like, oh, do you know? And you can grow out of people, you know? Can. And it says, you're given access to people like never before. And, said that. In fact, everyone who uses social media is somewhat encouraged to behave as a public figure. That's what I was saying earlier. Unless you limit your followers, you present yourself and speak to an invisible audience who you won't always know or engage with directly. This is even more evident with services like Twitch and Instagram Live, where you speak directly to camera and respond in real time to messages from followers. No matter, I said this earlier about the highlights kind of piece. The more a person shares, the more detailed the picture that we get, and the more detailed the picture you kind of build up in people's minds. I think that this is interesting in Blackpink and BTS fans.
Are these K-pop bands?
K-pop bands.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So BTS is I think there's 7 of them, 7 or 8.
There could be 12. I don't fucking know.
I don't know, but there's like,
what's that band from years ago? The English one.
Oh, Blazing Squad. There was 11 of them. Crossroads. I had no idea. But then on every single magazine cover was like 11 members. This is crazy. 11. Blazing Squad. What was the other one? So Solid.
So how many was there?
I think there was 8.
Was there? Yeah, there's even a lot of voices going on. Yeah.
But out of that, we got Lisa Mafia. Got Harvey.
Who?
We got Romeo.
Oh God, I'm so bad.
Who? Do you remember Lisa Mafia? Remember I told you I'm a soldier.
Oh yeah. I don't know to see. This is what I mean. Or what we were talking about earlier on. I've heard of them. Couldn't put a face to them.
Could have put in a cute little music thing there.
Yeah, I've only come work with what I have.
Do we know? No, I know on the.
Oh, sorry.
On the Bluetooth. I was about to say, do we know if we'll get our podcast taken down for copyright? Do we know that's the thing? Maybe we should look into that.
We'll get it. Oh, yeah.
How many seconds can you put in of a song without getting done for?
Oh, I don't know. Adam literally,
ask Adam. He would know, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's very short. That's why our Patreon jingle sounds like, "You're dopey." That's it.
We are dopey.
He's our dopey.
We are dopey.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But what I thought was, so as we know, K-pop fans in particular are really intense.
Stan.
But then they also took over like Trump's inauguration. They do some cool shit. And you can activate them. You know, when they get activated, they're on
BTS
it.
fans, I need you.
Yeah. Yo.
I'm trying to get cancelled here. They're trying to cancel me. Come on, take up the feed.
Come on.
Take over the hashtag.
But I was in a previous job, I was monitoring social media and social media DMs and for a brand, quite a well-known public brand. And it's so funny the amount of people who are like, you should really consider Lisa. I don't know what her handle is. Lisa from Blackpink. So Blackpink Lisa. You should really consider Blackpink Lisa as a brand ambassador for your brand.
So fans would say this. No way.
Yeah. But you get so many people doing this. So many people would email. Or not even email. Email, DM, comment. Like it is spam. But it is mad how somebody takes the time of day to do that.
Is this... I never knew what Blackpink was. So I remember... On the last... Okay. Are they K-pop?
Yes, they are.
Fuck off.
And they're fucking unreal.
They are unreal.
So cool.
The last night at Love Island, what was there was a video that went viral of Kaz, fucking hell, I couldn't remember her name there, Kaz, and she had done a video with that song in the background. It was like, okay, my Blackpink fans or whatever, and then that took over the hashtag Kyler. I was like, what the fuck is Blackpink? I thought it was a series or something.
No, it was a band.
Yeah, so it was obviously the song behind it. So there you go.
There you go. But so I think it's funny as well because it kind of then you're kind of moving into the realm of those fan accounts. But again, it's the same idea where it's like they're actually like they're now acting on motive, I suppose, for these people. Where it's like you should actually really that person don't care. Prison has no idea.
Yeah, absolutely loaded in the first place. Doesn't need you.
But also, thank you for the consideration. I'll have a conversation.
It's actually a really good idea.
That's actually a really good idea. I actually never thought of her. Thank you. But that's what I mean. You're like, oh yeah, that's good. You know. And I think it's funny as well because I know Amy Connolly. So Amy Connolly is an Irish businesswoman. She is the creator of Sculpted by Amy. She started as a makeup educator. I think she started as a makeup artist. Then she had an academy, did makeup education, and now she does these. I forget, they're focus groups essentially of consumers. So they're just, regular people who like to buy makeup. And what she'll do is she'll send her products to them first. Okay. So before influencers get them or press or anything like that gets them, she does focus groups with them where she'll send them the product and she'll do like things, she'll do these kind of sessions where they'll speak about, really like the concealer, but, or I think it's great compared to this or whatever. But she always asks, who do you follow?
Oh, really?
Who do you trust? Who do you like?
And then she sends them to them.
And then it's funny because the reason why I know this is because Amy actually said to me, she was like, just to let you know, you always come up in my focus groups as somebody that people trust.
No way.
And I was like, oh, thanks a million. And I was like, it's such a good idea.
Oh, that's really smart.
Because you're getting the focus group idea, and she changes it, I think, I don't know if she changes it per product release or per quarter or something, but she does change it quite a bit. So then it's like you apply, they just pick it random and away you go.
Yeah, they used to do that for Expose, that show.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they did, but it was any product that they were going to be promoting. It'd go out like a month or two beforehand to this focus group. Yeah. They get the reviews on it.
Coola boola.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's funny because then that's where, again, that having those relationships, I suppose, and having that audience is where it kind of builds into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
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 Do you have any experience yourself of people being overly familiar with you that you think is
Yes.
crossing the line?
Often.
I don't mean like negative interaction, because obviously you can get hate messages or whatever, but like somebody who's just, I don't know, like I know that I have in the past, like every story that I put up, I would have like a reply from the same person after every single story, and I'm like, I don't really, this just feels like it's been mad text to me or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean that in a bad way towards the person. I didn't think it was, I don't think that person thinks that there's anything wrong with it, and maybe there isn't, but like I was kind of racking my brain, kind of going, is that type it, or is this normal? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you know, sometimes you're kind of going,
It's
a bit strange.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Because you're like, okay, now we're...
But then I feel like, as I was saying at the top of the episode, when you put yourself out there as you're just a normal person, very likely you'll walk into me in Centra in Hunstown. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not fucking like
Surbiton.
Joan Rivers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I am an accessible person.
Yeah.
And I am an approachable person.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I'm in a position to be turning around and saying, well, that's a bit weird that she's sending me them messages. Do you know what I mean?
But I have sent you things before and you've been like, what?
As in, you screenshotting messages like, yeah.
Yeah. And you've been like, I'm sorry. What?
I know.
And it's funny because it's like with certain messages that I get, I screenshot them and I send them to my internet friends. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's because we all have experience of it.
Yeah,
like.
do you know? And it's just like, the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
I've had like it's a bit of a, not so much anymore, probably because people have started listening to this podcast and they get more of a read of me. I've had, like, I think I've said this before, where like people asking where my mum is, and my mum's like,
yeah,
you know, like, because I lived with my dad, and I'm like, why is that something that you think is appropriate?
That as well, though.
What? Where's your ma?
Yeah.
Where's your ma?
Where's your ma?
Where's your fucking ma? I know, but would you ever decide to just DM someone like that?
No, I wouldn't.
And I think, like, there's a way, I totally get how people come at it respectfully. And I had some people that were really like, just, you know, respectfully, where's your mum? And I'm like, there's no respectful way of asking that. You know?
Respectfully, where's your ma?
And you're like, respectfully,
I think that's more
none of your business. You know?
I think that's more of a generational thing and more of an Irish thing, because it's so strange, unless if a mother has unfortunately passed, it's just not common for the dad to stay in the family home and the kids stay with the dad after like a separation. Yeah. So that just doesn't even come into people's heads. Yeah. When it's Irish and when it's our parents' generation, it just doesn't happen.
Just different.
Unless if the dad is a widow. Do you know?
Yeah. No, and I do get that. Like, look, it's against the grain, but that's where I suppose social media has almost reprogrammed my brain as well, where I'm like, well, that's not a thing that I'll ever be asking someone. And I'm quite a direct and upfront person. Do you know? Like, there is...
Do you know, memory unlocked. Do you know what? You had mentioned your mum. I automatically assumed your mum was dead.
Oh, Jesus.
So I didn't... No, like, when I saw your living situation, like when you'd post in your house and it'd be your dad or whatever, I'm just like, all right, no, ma. Okay. Do you know? But I think you'd mentioned your mum doing something. Yeah. And then I was like, oh, her mum is alive. Oh. And I remember Jared turning around to me as well, saying one day, where's Carla's mum? Oh, fuck off. I was like, I don't know. I'm not going to ask her. Like,
yeah, do you know, like, it's such
this
a...
is at the very beginning, before we had met in person. Like,
yeah. Yeah, so like that one, when I moved out as well, like, people twigged in 2.5 seconds. I was like, I didn't actually realise people took in. Like, I don't notice my background, so...
What do you mean?
Like, I don't notice, like...
Oh, background of your frame, like, your walls.
And it was funny, speaking of my mother, we house sat a while ago for some friends, and I remember my mum was hounding me, being like, have you moved out and you haven't told me, blah, 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 blah. I saw on your Instagram, and I was literally like, fuck off.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I was like... again, I was like, I'm 30.
Yeah.
Like, leave me alone. Just because you saw it on my Instagram, even though you're my mum.
Yeah.
That kind of way. But then I suppose, and then Tom was like, yeah, you also have to understand that, like, you do have to, like, inform your family members sometimes of things that happen. I was like, I know, but then you just don't want to have the big conversation while you're there. Whose is it? How do you know, like,
Yeah.
like, just leave me be. I'm here for 2 weeks.
Sometimes I feel like it's a good thing. So you have 3 questions, choose them carefully. I'm only answering 3 questions.
That is so good.
Isn't it?
That is so good.
That was off the bat as well.
Yeah.
Came up with that in the
And I think it's yeah, so there's been that. There's been many boundary
Yeah.
oversteps over the years that I've been like, yeah, not gonna talk to you about, respectfully not gonna talk to you about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In particular,
And I think, but sometimes, especially because we're kind of take the piss people,
yeah.
I think if people approach us or like say somebody sent like that DM that you got the other day, I won't mention what it is, but that person's like, we'll take it as a, you know, like,
Yeah.
but I read that in your voice. I felt like she was approaching it in your voice.
Yeah, in my tone, yeah.
Matching your tone,
Yeah.
as if to say, look, we're relatable, you know, I
Yeah.
can relate to you, I'm
Yeah.
like you like me.
Yeah.
Look, it's the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah,
It's
it's
you.
about pointing at each other, yeah.
That kind of
It's
thing.
like, we are so similar.
Yeah.
I'm about to overstep a massive
Yeah.
boundary here. But we are so similar.
Yeah.
Girly pops. Yeah.
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 So I think there's that element to it as well.
Yeah, there can be, where I suppose people pick up on your tone and they kind of, but then I suppose that's where it comes like into judgment, where people like decide you are
One thing.
one thing and you are the way that you are.
Yeah. And you never have bad days
No.
because you never show them.
No. But I'm also like, I think what's funny about, I remember actually, sorry, this is almost in the background, or sorry, no, I think I might have, I can't remember what I've told with this story, but somebody wrote to me before, 2-3 Christmases ago, I'm going to say, like Christmas 2018, let's just say, and it was Christmas Day, and they wrote a message, like, and it was quite a nice message to me, and they were taking the piss out of me, and I replied, fuck off. And I forgot to reply the next message.
Oh God.
Yeah. So normally I'd be like, fuck off, laughing faces, like, fuck off you, blah, blah, blah. Well, she fucking ate me alive. I was like, well, that flipped quickly.
Jesus, this escalated.
I was like, whoa. And I was like, no, sorry. I was like, I genuinely, like, first of all, it was Christmas Day. I was pissed.
Yeah.
They wrote to me at like 3 a.m. I think I replied at the same time. My bad, but also, chill out.
Yeah.
I was like, clearly you don't know me. I don't.
You don't take these things to heart at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. You know, where I would have just, I wouldn't have replied. I would have just iced it. I think she was like, wow. Blah, 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 blah. I was like, oh God. And I was like, yo, my bad. But then at the same time, I was like, yo,
Wind your neck in.
yeah, wind your fucking neck in. No, but in the kind of way that you were just like, oh God, that looks so much worse than it was. Do you know what I mean? Like, in my head, I was like, oh God, that was...
That happened to me before. We actually done a podcast on, do you remember the Inside the K episode?
Yeah.
And I was after...
An episode I did not enjoy, yeah.
It's because you didn't watch it, did you?
No, I don't like things like that.
Okay. It was a documentary on Virgin Media about the K district.
Yeah.
But I was on Instagram and I was explaining the episode and I was promoting it. It was after going up and I was talking about it, and I had said I had phrased it wrong. Whatever way I had said K district, I should have said on instead of in, or it was something like that. And a girl messaged me to say, oh hey, it's actually, this is the way that it works or whatever. And I wrote back, apologies, and got distracted with the telly.
Oh shit.
And she thought
so it was
that
very short. Apologies.
It's like, apologies.
As
And
if you're
then-
like,
and she
fucking
was like,
fuming.
oh no, I didn't mean to.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, no, I didn't. I
Really
forgot to send
sorry,
you the
I need to
second
reply, yeah.
message. Oh Jesus, yeah, no, that's the worst.
Do you ever think about how my neighbours get a free podcast? 2 free podcasts.
Yeah. 3 today.
Yeah, three today. But yeah, I thought that like, yeah, I've had, is there anything that like comes to mind for you? Because I think there's in particular, again, I think this is something that like, I mean, fucking the unpopular opinion bingo, something that I've spoken about before, but I do think it's worth mention. Boundaries are always consistently crossed when it comes to Claire Balding.
Yeah.
And when she first went off,
Oh, God. Being
Was
her
she-
secretary.
yeah,
Yeah.
like fully.
Yeah.
Did he get her to answer that message for me? Would he get her to look at this? Would he get?
You,
Hiya, sorry, why me?
right, you were late to this, right? I was
Were you her
Claire's
secretary?
secretary on Snapchat. Before you even knew Claire,
Were you?
I was Claire's Snapchat secretary. Because she turned off her DMs on Snapchat and I used to get the messages. And hey, I know Claire's not accepting DMs at the moment, or she's not opening them, whatever. But I don't think Snapchat might have been
can't
that
remember how it
advanced.
worked back then. What was it like?
I don't know if it was advanced enough to even turn off your DMs. I think it was though. And she turned them off, and people used to send me messages on Snapchat.
So you were her secretary?
Yeah, I was her secretary. And then I text her, I voice note with her one of the days, and I was like, Claire, where'd you get your lamp? Or it was something like, you know, like that kind of thing. And she was like, Jen, fuck off!
Yeah.
Tell them to fuck off! And I was like, oh, stop. I said, I honestly, these are the messages that I screenshotted everything. I was like, honestly, these are what I'm getting. And she was like, I cannot believe that. She was like, you're not me fucking secretary. That's where the whole phrase came out of. So I was like, I'm Claire's secretary.
For anybody not understanding, Claire,
if she turns off her DMs or she doesn't open DMs.
well, first of all, who is she? She's a
Oh, yeah.
social media. Well, sorry, no, she was an RTE. She was a TV show host. Yellow Brick Road, RIP.
All right, pitch.
We weren't ready for her. Yellow Brick Road was 2 in the future for us.
We weren't ready for Claire Baldwin.
We were ready for Claire Baldwin to be on the fucking TV. But she's, I suppose, like what, a media and social media personality. Well, she was a social media personality who then became a media personality. Her hair fell out, and she would be a fan of outrage marketing, or so she was a fan of outrage marketing. She's come back, she's reformed. She's Claire Baldwin 2.0 now. And that's who she was. But because Claire had such a great story, and she's a great storyteller, and she does shows, and you know, her following are like fucking
Oh yeah, they are
die hard.
stan.
They're stans, like they're stan level, they're Blackpink
Yeah.
level. That when she took an hiatus, 6-month hiatus off social media, and in that hiatus I became her secretary.
Yeah.
Or even previous to her going on her hiatus, people like I would answer 95% of the messages that I get. I don't answer all of them, but I would answer a good amount of them, and people knew that, so they came to me to get to her, because me and Claire are quite close.
Yeah.
And Jen, so I took the torch off you. Who'll be next?
Who
Farah?
will be next? Farah, probably, yeah.
Her daughter, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was kind of there's been, these are the ones that just kind of peaked to mind. Claire in particular seems to bring a thing out of people.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, so
Or even if it's just, and like they're not.
we should have got her on for this fucking for this
I don't
episode.
even like the people that. I'm trying to word it. People's messages, like even when it does come in that context, like I remember Claire, like she wears a heart on her sleeve, and she does record a lot. Even she records the downs more so than the ups most of the time.
Yeah.
And I would have, like, she'd turn off her DMs or like that, she'd take a hiatus, she'd go missing. You'd get people messaging with the best of intention.
That's what I mean.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, will you just tell Claire that I'm asking for her? And I'm like, that's all well and good, but she doesn't really know you. Do you know what I mean? And like, I get where you're coming from, and it's a lovely thing for you to say.
And you're invested in her, and you're worried about her, and that's precious. Do you know what I mean?
It's lovely, don't get me wrong, but Claire's gonna fucking give out to me if I go to that. Go to her with that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, user 1 2 3 4 5 says, "Hope you're okay, hon." Do
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, and she would get it as well. Like, Claire, contrary to what people think or what things are said about her in public, she is a very caring person.
Yeah, she'd do anything for you.
She would. She'd so much time for people.
I think that's why her following is in particular so.
And she never did an ad as well. I think that's.
But why does that matter?
I know.
I have this debate with Claire all the time. Why does that matter? Why do I'm sorry,
but it does to some people. It does.
But why?
Because some people
Can't accept marketing for what it is.
Yeah.
Question
No,
mark.
but that's what I mean.
New marketing.
There are some people who
You'll accept a fucking billboard, but you won't accept me. I don't get it.
Yeah. No, there are people who would still, their mindset would be where mine was. 3-4 years ago
Yeah.
and just not understand it. And
Yeah.
the minute they see that hashtag ad, you're unfollowed. That's it. They just hate
Well,
it.
then peace. God bless.
Yeah, well, then it's no real love.
Don't turn on the TV. Don't turn on your phone. Don't, you know
Don't
what I
turn
mean?
the paper.
Don't turn the paper.
Yeah.
By God, don't listen to the radio. Like, yeah. Anyway, whatever. I could do another bloody. We should do an episode called hashtag ad hashtag spawn.
Yeah. And get it sponsored. Go to our unpopular opinion of the week. It's me this week. Struggling. To really take on.
When that went on, Jen just looked at me and she went, I don't have one.
Well, I do and I don't, because I'm right.
I saved you once, I can't save you twice.
I'm seeing Facebook, right? I don't know why I go on it. For some reason, it's the platform I go to and work. I don't know. I think it's
What?
just there's a lot of reading in it. Do you
There
know-
is.
do you
If
know
you're
what
in
I
the
mean?
mood for a book.
Like Instagram is just pictures. Twitter's grand. An awful lot of the time, the people on Twitter are talking about shit I don't know what's going on about. I cannot wait to learn about the Free Lewis in our fucking TMU, because I still don't know what
I
happened
don't
there.
know what happened there.
No, and I want to be surprised in the episode, so don't spoil it for me, please.
So I'm going to be your
Yeah.
Richard Chambers.
Yeah, you're going to be my Richard Chambers. But Facebook, yeah, so a lot of people posting about Christmas, and I don't want it this year. Don't want Christmas.
I'm the same. I actually agree. I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think that's an opinion that people don't want to realise. I think it's like an I don't want it either. I would
want-
happily skip to next March.
Yeah.
October and cruise to
I
next
want-
March. Done.
I
Happy.
want another...
Yeah.
I don't mind a bit of autumn.
No, that's October. I'll do October
Yeah.
till Halloween.
We'll have the leaves. I can see a few brown
Yeah,
ones
yeah.
out on the trees. We'll have the whole, like, that, you know, that kind of... You know when the sun is setting in October, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That colour,
Yeah.
that atmosphere, that kind of...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Autumnal. Autumnal.
With, like, lovely plum eyeshadow, smell of fire in the air.
Do you wear plum eyeshadow?
We'll
do you?
in the autumn we do,
Oh,
yeah. Oh, very on trend. Very basic like that. Yeah, and then fuck off to next March and just have a summer again, because I couldn't be arsed.
Yeah, I'm last Christmas was my worst by far.
What was it?
Yeah, by far. I don't know if it was coronavirus. I don't know if it was
Oh, it was
you know
2020. Yeah.
7 days of sessions or like, do you know what I mean? Like I don't know if it was like looming fear and all that other kind of crack. It was just shit. So I'm hoping this year will be fun. Like I'm going to try and get into it this year, lads. I'm going to switch up the summer plans for 131s. You know, I'm going to switch up the blankets there.
Oh, look, red.
Who knows? I'm a festive bitch.
Gold. Well, I think you have your own little space now. I do think you could make the most of it. You and Tom roasting chestnuts in the open fire.
Do you know, like I could, maybe I'll change it. You
Yeah.
know, maybe I'll switch it up. But I was
Start your own traditions.
yeah, like last year I took off too much time from work as well.
Okay.
And there's fuck all to be doing. Well, there was in
Yeah.
particular last year.
Yeah.
But like, I like my annual leave for holiday. You know, I like to be away from this. Away from this place. So I need to figure out a better way to play it. Because it is, Christmas is what you make of it.
Should we take Christmas holidays in the pod this year?
Oh.
Oh.
But I like it.
So do I, but I like...
No, we're going to do the roundup, aren't we?
Yeah, at the end of the year.
We're going to do the roundup of our
Our best bits.
Our best bits.
So I'm going to do the roundup of our best bits.
Winky face.
Winky face.
Winky face.
Who has to edit that?
No, we're going to ask the viewers. They're going to do it first.
Okay, yeah.
What's your favourite part?
Right.
Give us a timestamp. Thanks.
Pick it out so I don't have to go searching.
Yeah.
Thanks, hon.
Yeah, we talk a lot of shite. You say you listen to the episode and you know with the timestamps and this, that and the other. So just put your money where your mouth is. How much of a fan are you?
It's hard enough.
You're hard enough, girl.
I love it. Have you got a stamper of the week?
I'll find one.
Can you would you do it?
No, I do have
Okay,
one. I do
okay,
have one.
right, grand.
Carla's Stomper of the Week. I didn't realise it was actually going to be this quick, Jen. So
Yeah, it's a very quick jingle.
it is a really quick jingle. I really want to get some backing tracks to that. Like, where is Adam with the bongos?
I don't. Fuck off.
What do you mean, fuck off?
I don't. I think that's a New Year thing, Carla. I know. I will.
Why
I'll
is it
say
a New
to him.
Year thing?
I'll say it to him.
That's in a couple of months.
He thinks that our things are dog shit. I don't know.
He made them.
Carla, I asked him, right? If I've asked him once, I don't need to start asking him every 6 months, right? He's on it. He's a bloke. This is his time frame.
Okay. This one is called Tell Me, and it's by Tin Liquor.
Nice.
Yeah. Hell Sloot. And Hero Baldwin, which is not an Alec reference. It's just, again, it's more of a vibey kind of mellow, housey kind of track. Something that I liked. It's driving music.
Right.
Do you get me? It's driving music, gang.
Okay.
So get on it.
Okay,
because it's just a nice, we need to connect my phone maybe from now on and put a little
I think
excerpt.
from now on we might have little snippets.
Will we do a snippet? So you know what you're getting, like a little flavour.
These mics are so fucking crisp.
I know, I can hear it.
That is like...
If you thought I was sniffling before, get ready for this Christmas, baby.
Yeah. Fucking hell. That's it. Thanks so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do join us over on Patreon if you haven't already. The start of the month is the best time financially, so you get charged when you join, and then you get charged at the start of every month thereafter, so there's a longer gap if you join at the start of the month. So yeah, we'll see you over there, and thanks for listening. Bye.